The mask that I wore that I just took off was provided to the MTA by the New York Mets and Jeff Wilpon. Obviously, the Mets are neighbors close by at Citi Field. They were provided by the Mets and Jeff Wilpon at no cost. The Mets organization has provided the MTA at no cost 100,000 masks, which are being distributed to our operating employees across the organization: subways, buses, Metro-North, Long Island Railroad, and bridges and tunnels. Having said that, thanks for being with us this afternoon. I'm here with my colleagues, New York City Transit Interim President Sarah Feinberg, via teleconference, Dr. David Brenner, Director of the Center for Radiological Research at Columbia University's Irving Medical Center, my colleague Mark Dowd, who's MTA Chief Innovation Officer, Senior Vice President for Buses Craig Cipriano, Long Island Railroad President Phil Eng, and Metro-North President Kathy Rinaldi. Phil and Kathy are here by Zoom. We're here today, this afternoon, to demonstrate the latest innovation in cleaning and disinfecting that the MTA is exploring to keep our customers and employees safe. As we've been saying, we're leaving no stone unturned when it comes to promoting and protecting public health. We're already implementing the most aggressive cleaning and disinfecting program in MTA history, and with the overnight closure of the subway stations, which is going extraordinarily well. And we continue to test the most advanced solutions to take our program, our cleaning and disinfecting program, to new heights. That brings us together today. The MTA is launching the first ever UV pilot proven to kill COVID-19. That's big news. This pilot will use UV technology to help disinfect our infrastructure beginning next week. This pilot, in its first phase, will last several weeks across subways, buses, stations, and employee facilities. Phase 2 will expand to include the Long Island Railroad and Metro-North. Again, the good news here is that UV is a proven and effective technology, and it is 100% safe to humans after it is applied. Dr. David Brenner, the Director of the Center for Radiological Research at Columbia University's Irving Medical Center and the MTA's technical advisor on this project, has shown that these UV lights that we have on site today efficiently kill the virus that causes COVID-19. To our knowledge, this is the first reported test of its kind, period. Dr. Brenner will later speak to the peer review and publication process going forward. We believe this is a big deal for the MTA, for our customers and employees, and for the future of our system. Now, the purpose of this pilot, working with Puro Lighting and Columbia University, is to explore the feasibility and effectiveness of scaling this technology across the MTA. As I said, UV is a proven technology that has worked effectively in hospital emergency rooms, hospital operating rooms, urgent care centers, universities, and first responder locations. I don't want to mislead anybody to thinking this is a cure-all. There is still much work to be done, but this is a significant and promising new development. It's in keeping with our pledge to consider every possible action to keep New Yorkers, our customers and employees, safe. We'll update our customers and employees in the media on the progress of other disinfecting work in the future. For more on this, I'm going to turn it over to Sarah Feinberg, Interim President of New York City Transit. Sarah.
Thank you, Pat, and also thank you to the Mets for the masks, which are great. As the chairman said, the overnight subway closures have been incredibly productive so far. Thinking outside the box has been crucial to our ongoing response to COVID-19, and I just want to update folks with a couple of proof points on that. Car cleaning between train trips is now occurring at 37 different locations, while cleaning takes place at both ends of the line for most subway lines. We are disinfecting at least 3,500 cars at least once daily to accommodate our essential service schedules. Some cars are being cleaned 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times per day because most trains are making multiple trips and seeing cleaners at each of those trips. We've expanded cleaners with 24/7 coverage in some places with more cleaners per location. And on our buses, more than 135,000 buses have been disinfected to date, with nearly 4,000 being treated via our contractors. Another 94,000 paratransit vehicles have also been disinfected. And in addition to the new UV pilot, we're also experimenting with the use of electrostatic sprayers and antimicrobials, which kill bacteria and viruses. Our entire fleet of more than 6,500 cars has been treated with antimicrobials at this point, and we're more than 50% complete with the second application. In other words, as we've said from the beginning, we're taking an all-of-the-above approach to getting everything in our fleet as clean for our riders as possible. But even with all the gains we're making, we're always thinking about what more we can do to keep people safe. And I think this latest pilot is a demonstration of our commitment to serving New Yorkers. This UV has been proven to kill the COVID-19 virus, and I'm proud of our partnership with Dr. Brenner and Puro to bring this technology to transit. We're looking to test its compatibility with our car classes, buses, and infrastructure. And we want to see how we can deploy UVC in a variety of contexts beyond our rolling stock of train cars and buses to include stations and employee spaces where that makes sense. The truth is our system is going to look very different when the city and state start to reopen. We're still developing the best path forward, but it's clear that we need to build a transit system for the future that is better, more modern, more inclusive, more efficient, and safer than it's ever been before. None of this will be easy to do, but we'll continue to do everything we can to explore creative solutions to the issues raised by this pandemic. And it's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. David Brenner, Director of the Center for Radiological Research at Columbia University's Irving Medical Center.
Okay.
There we go.
Apparently I was muted. The famous Zoom problem. So let me start again. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'm speaking as a New Yorker who uses the subway pretty well every day, and so I have a personal stake in making the subway system just as safe as it can possibly be. And I think the MTA does deserve credit here for quickly embracing the emerging technologies here. And again, as has already been said, to give you the background, it's been known for more than 100 years, in fact, that UV light is incredibly efficient at killing both viruses and bacteria. So what we've done in our ongoing studies at Columbia University, and that's together with my colleagues Ian Lipkin and Thomas Brisa, we've shown that the UV light that's going to be used in the current overnight subway and bus disinfection program is very efficient at killing the SARS-CoV-2 virus, the virus that's responsible for COVID-19. And essentially how we do the tests is we have the SARS-CoV-2 virus in a secure location, and we expose it to the UV light. And then essentially we measure how many of the viruses have been killed by the UV light. And the results have been very encouraging. As scientists do, we're going to repeat the studies. We're going to write them up for peer review, but it's certainly looking absolutely that the UV light is very efficient at killing this virus. So really, what we're doing here is to reduce the level of virus in the subways and trains, and therefore decreasing the risk of anybody catching the virus in the subway or trains. We're also taking the first step towards longer range approaches to using UV light in the subways and buses, which are going to make the buses and trains still more efficient and safe in the future. So with those 3 words, let me just hand over to Mark Dowd, who's the Chief Innovation Officer of the MTA.
Thank you, Dr. Brenner. I've had the privilege of working with Dr. Brenner since March, and he's been really helpful in providing advice on how to formulate this pilot, so thank you very much for your help. Also, it's exciting for us to be able to do this pilot at the same time that Dr. Brenner's research, the preliminary research, has shown that the UVs do kill rather efficiently SARS-CoV-2 the virus that caused COVID-19. As the innovation officer, I was brought in to focus on innovation at every turn. The pandemic came, and it actually brings in the opportunity for innovation even greater than it is now. The opportunity to bring in startups like Puro Lighting that we have here, startups that have different ways of doing things in different places and taking them and applying that to our system. This has never been done, as far as I know, in the scale that we plan on doing it with the knowledge that it kills COVID-19. We want to leverage the best technology in every case, but especially now to fight the virus. We are working nimbly to identify new partners, and this pilot is a prime example. We are fortunate to work with Puro Lighting. They are exactly what you want in a startup. They're thoughtful, they're smart, and they're nimble in being able to react to the needs that we have in our agency. We're going to be using Puro's Sentry Mobile series of products. As you see that they're very small, they're mobile, they're miniaturized, not like the big heavy robots and stuff that you see in other places, allowing hopefully our very talented folks in subways and buses to figure out how to use them in an efficient and cost-effective manner. As Sarah said, that we are using everything that we know to help disinfect our system, and this is just one more example of that innovative approach. First phase of the pilot, we'll use 150 of the lamps. We'll use them, John Santamaria and his team will work in subways to figure out the configuration in the various yards and try to figure out what works and what doesn't work. Then we'll move over to buses. Craig's team will work through that process to see whether or not we can efficiently use it in buses. If we're successful in that space, we're going to try some fixed locations that after following all the necessary safety protocols. Then we'll turn over to phase 2, which is moving over to the Long Island Railroad and Metro North. Again, I just want to emphasize that it's one thing to be able to do a pilot like this, another thing to do it on the news that the UV lights proven for the first time to kill COVID-19. On that note, I want to turn over to my colleague Phil Ang, President of Long Island Railroad. Thank you.
Thank you, Mark, and good afternoon, everyone. It's exciting to hear what is going on at headquarters and at Transit. I think from day one, as we all battle this virus and this pandemic, we've always kept an open mind and we're always looking at new technology. And this is just building upon all the efforts to date with regards to sanitizing the fleet, sanitizing our stations, and sanitizing the work environment that our heroic workforce has been dealing with. So it's exciting for us to keep an eye on this pilot as it progresses. I look forward to the opportunity to collaborate for phase 2, and it just continues to demonstrate that we're very open-minded and looking at all new avenues to help restore confidence to of our system to the public. So thank you very much, Mark. And with that, I'll turn it over to Kathy Rinaldi, President of Metro North.
Thank you so much, Phil. Metro North is also really looking forward to phase 2 of the UV pilot. Metro North is committed to introducing innovative technologies to create the safest possible environment for our customers and for our employees. Our customers and our employees can trust that we're exploring every possible innovation and option to protect their health through this terrible time. I'd like to now turn it over to Chairman Pat Foy for questions.
Thank you, Kathy. Why don't we start with on-topic questions, and then we'll take others. Dan.
MTA officials have been talking about using UV light in the disinfectant. Is this the first time that it is going to be using this, or is this the first time it's going to be using UV light that is proven to kill the virus? And just as a point of clarity, it kills the SARS-CoV-2 virus, right?
The answer to that question is yes. The news here today is Dr. Brenner has shown that the use of ultraviolet light in a laboratory setting has eradicated the COVID-19 virus. That's the news.
And you've been using it beforehand, since the shutdown began, or even before that?
Oh, Mark and his team have been.
Yeah, we did.
Please go.
So Back on March 15th, we did a proof of concept with Puro Lighting. They came in, again, worked with buses and subways in this exact location, determine whether or not it was even worth trying. So, but then COVID hit pretty hard. We waited to come out of that space, and now we're ready to move forward with the pilot.
Anybody else? Please.
So you're researching the far UV versus the UVC, which could be harmful to people? Can you explain that in more detail?
So there's three different types of UV, UVA, B, and C. This is UVC, which is less harmful, but it requires a significant amount of safety precautions in order to use it. Far UVC is what Dr. Brenner's working on, still working through that space, and he's better at answering those types of questions.
Next.
Is there any updated costs on how much disinfecting is going to cost the MTA?
Look, we've said before that it will cost hundreds of millions of dollars above what was budgeted in the financial plan for 2020. That continues to be the case. Obviously, the use of new technologies going forward may affect that in a favorable way, but we're not counting on that, and it's clearly hundreds of millions of dollars above what we budgeted.
Company here today. How much is it costing the MTA to contract with the company here today, providing, I believe you said 150 devices?
Yes, it's 150 devices. It's over 230 lamps. So two devices, as you see, that's considered one lamp, and so it is a double-headed lamp. But it's 230 lamps, 150 devices, and that's at approximately $1 million. And we're purchasing the lamps. We're not renting them.
Dan, I would add to that as we go forward, we will do an RFP for ultraviolet equipment suppliers. There's no binding commitment. We're appreciative of the work that Puro Lighting has done. We expect them to compete for the RFP. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Just in terms of timeline, is there a way to gauge at this point when you'd move from phase 2 or how long this phase 1 will last?
Nick.
We're going to work with the same 150 lamps. We're going to work with them here in subways. Frank's going to take first crack at them, move it through, move it over to Craig's folks, and then we'll determine whether or not that makes sense. We're going to do a couple of fixed locations too. It's not just subways and the buses. Once we then sit down as a team, figure out whether it makes sense, then we move to phase 2, which is about, my guess, around 3.5 weeks.
So the fixed locations are the occupational facilities where New York City Transit workers work, because cleaning and disinfecting those locations is extraordinarily important. Anybody else on topic? Anybody off topic?
Once the surface is treated, is there a way of testing that area to make sure that the UV treatment has done its job?
Okay, Mark.
So what we have is we have the technical capacity of Puro, who can answer when you put the lamps there. That's what Dr. Brenner was talking about, is what it was proven to do. It proves that if you use these lamps, and the duration and the placement of those lamps is what we're trying to figure out, that you have confirmed kill of COVID-19.
Please.
Are you going to be using the 150 lamps between 1 a.m. to 5 p.m. with older trains that come back here, or only at the stations, or exactly where are you going to be using them?
We're going to be using them, right now we're going to be using them in the yards, but again, the purpose of the pilot is to figure out operationally where the most efficient and effective place to use them. So we may look at the shutdown time as an opportunity to get to spaces that normally would be occupied by people.
We'll take one more. Anybody else? All right, good. We've got a demonstration, and Tim Minton's going to lead the way.
All right, for those of you here in the room, the reporters and crews, you can just step over to the train and we'll have that demonstration shortly. For those of you watching on the live stream, we will be carrying that portion as well. There'll be about a 5-minute gap while everybody here moves over, and then you will be able to watch on the live stream the demonstration in a train car, and then after that, the demonstration on a bus. Thanks, everybody. For the press, there will be a demonstration now similar to what you saw on the train on a bus that is parked directly outside this building, just behind the wall. If you exit and turn right and then right again, you'll be at the bus. Thanks again for coming.